Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Ryan Ascension. I want to talk about mental health and spirituality. There is a tremendous disconnect between the reality of what is actually going on with people when they are labeled and they are given mental health diagnoses, and then they are medicated for those same reasons. Oftentimes, our society views people that have been considered to have a mental illness as secondary, as throwaways, as not capable of doing anything in their lifetime or contributing to humanity, or dangerous, or unstable, or whatever it is. Just know that I'm here to tell you you are awesome. Your spirituality, your diagnosis that your doctor told you that you had, is actually spiritual awakenings. You are connected to the spirit realm. So when you, whether you hear voices, or you feel things, or you can communicate with other beings or other entities, all the traditional signs and symptoms of what Western culture has so openly and rapidly deemed as mental illness are in actuality, majority of the time, they are spiritual in nature. They are spiritual awakenings. Someone who's hearing voices, okay? Now, we need to learn, because a lot of times those can be negative entities, and you don't even know that. You're just told, take this pill. So what I'm trying to get to here, and this is a touchy subject for many people, because I want to tell you that all of the mental, and the doctors, most doctors mean well, most of the hospital staff means well, most of the nurses mean well, the pharmacy staff means well, people who you're interacting with, and a lot of times mean well too, meaning your family and whatever. All of this, so keep that in mind, but all of this was mental illness. Read about the history of psychiatry. Learn the history of psychiatry. Mental illness was, those diagnoses were put in place a long time ago to disrupt and discredit people that are having spiritual awakenings. Why would the powers that be want to put a label on a person and medicate them back to third dimensional consciousness? Why would they want to do that? Well, the answer is very simple. They don't want the masses to learn their personal power. We as human beings are extremely strong and extremely powerful. We are literally creator gods. We can create through our thoughts, through our feelings. We can literally create and draw in anything that we want to in this lifetime, and that is perceived as a threat by some, not all, and not even most, but some in the establishment. So we look at it, and everybody's been trained, oh, that person thinks different, or that person hears voices, or it's because you are hearing voices. Who is to tell you? Is that doctor, is that nurse, or your family member, whoever you're talking to, in your mind psychologically analyzing what's going on? The answer is absolutely not. You can't. How can you have these personal experiences and then sit down with a doctor and then for them to tell you that you have a mental illness when they have absolutely no, their training is focused on diagnosis and medication. Again, doctors, most aren't aware of it, but shame on them for not doing their own homework. It's kind of like, you go into a primary care physician and they have extremely little training in nutrition. And most of the problems people are having, or a lot of them I should say, are nutrition based. So somebody's high cholesterol, somebody's blood pressure, diabetes, all these things are caused, most of them are caused by, emotional traumas and what have you, but also nutrition and lack of exercise. Why isn't that prescribed? Just kind of curious, and maybe it is in some rare doctors, but every time I go see a doctor, it is, or most of the time it's, what kind of medication, we're going to put you on this. It's garbage, okay? So I'm going to tell you that I understand it from the other side too, because you've got the doctors, you've got the nurses that are concerned because of the way media has rolled out mental illness to the masses, making people seem like they're capable of being a school shooter or whatever it is. It is absolute fear-based nonsense, okay, is what that is. If you do the homework and you have an understanding of what society calls a mental illness, you will quickly accept the fact that people who are quote-unquote mentally ill are in actuality, three times more likely to be the victim of a violent crime than they are to be a perpetrator, okay? This is all by design, all right? There's mind control technologies. They do exist. Get on the computer. All the information is readily available in the search engines. Look up stuff. Look at, you feel like you're being watched. You are, okay? Period. Now, that might be by human. That might be by a combination of human and spirit, because you're knowing that you're never alone. And sometimes when you're having an awakening, you can feel, okay, what's going on around you, and you feel like you're being watched. And it's because you are. And knowing that you're never alone, how could you not ever be watched? You have your spirit guides, you've got angels, you've got extraterrestrials, you've got, and even regarding human, I mean, you have remote neural monitoring that actually happens. Look it up. Do your math, do your homework with that. You've got, everywhere you go, you walk into a store, you're on camera, So that's one of the primary, check marks for a mental illness is feeling like you are being watched. You can't drive down many streets without there being a camera at the intersection. That's the reality of the situation. And guess what? Some people are more sensitive to that than others. Some people feel that more so than others. So when you're having an awakening, just know that your mind will have an extremely difficult time. I'm talking about a Kundalini awakening, an actual, like a highly elevated, you jump way into high, accelerated consciousness, and your mind doesn't know how to process. Your mind doesn't know how to handle what is going on, because we're taught, you're just mentally ill, and you just need to take this medication. So you might be in you might be high vibration, or just know if you're actually having a spiritual awakenings don't have to be a Kundalini type spiritual awakening is what I'm referring to, where it's, wow, it's extreme, it's, whoa, I can't process this, it's too much. And you begin to feel all these things, and your mind wants to draw conclusions, and logical conclusions on what is actually occurring, when actuality could be all of the things you're thinking of, or just one, or whatever. It's not able to process it. But what I'm saying is, when you're having that awakening, it's important to be around people. If you can find somebody in your life that has an understanding of this, that has maybe even some personal experience with this, whether it's a family member, a friend, whatever, and understands that this is actually what's occurring, is that, and through, you've opened your ancient eyes, okay, so to speak. You have connected with the spirit realm, all right? That is what mental illness, what we call mental illness, actually is. It's interesting, isn't it, that a lot of people with so-called mental illness have amazing psychic abilities. Isn't that interesting? Okay, but if you tell that to a doctor, oh, I'm psychic. Oh, really? There could be no such thing as a psychic. Here's your medication. Go home, take it. You tell them I feel like I'm being watched. Here's your medication. Go home and take it. If you feel like, government's out of control, or they're doing certain surveillance on people, you're probably right. Go home, take your medication. Okay, so it really is a situation that needs to change rapidly. We need to have groups where, this happens over in the East, India, so on and so forth, where they have gurus who will guide students through their awakening process, because the gurus have been there. They know it's not. They know that it is not a mental illness in actuality. They're connecting sometimes to extreme levels with the divine. Okay, so we need to have that type of basis here in the West too. I will tell you, and even if you don't agree with anything I'm saying, that's okay. Your opinion is yours to have. I have personal experience with this. I am not taking any medication. I appear perfectly okay, right? But I am talking about, and I am perfectly okay. Actually, I'm more than okay. And I am talking about some touchy subjects that, you know, people might be like, well, that's right. This has been in place for a long time. Those who are aware, those who are awake, those who will question authority in certain regards, those who will put information out that will benefit others outside of making profit off, solely profit off of people, and that's it, which is a lot of what our society has done in the past. Those people often get, they get they get deemed mentally ill, and that's just how it goes, okay? So they can keep them from finding out even more and spreading the word to the masses, and they can discredit the individual so that anything that they're saying is simply, is nothing more than a mental health symptom, and they're nuts, and you shouldn't listen to anything. It's all been, everybody involved, with the exception of the top of the echelon, so to speak, knows, okay? Or they've all been tricked. They all have been, even the doctors. They learn, what do they learn in med school? You have a diet, you have a mental illness, you need to take medication for it. That is not what is needed. With medication, I'm not telling you to get off your meds if you're on them, but with medication, typically what happens is you're sacrificing, again, if you don't agree, you are sacrificing your physical health. I was 242 pounds when I took medication. I was extremely out of shape. I was a zombie. I fell asleep at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. the next day from the medication, drank a pot of coffee, ate ice cream. I was always craving sugar, anything I could put in my body. I'd crave. That was terrible food, terrible for your health. And I just was a zombie. I was robotic. That is the reality when you medicate people. So why not move in another direction where we have people such as myself or other people that have a firm grasp of a firm understanding of what is actually going on. Please accept the fact, whether you're a doctor or you're a nurse, your intentions are good. Just accept the fact, even for family members in some cases, that you've been lied to and manipulated in almost every way possible. And this is what they had tried in the past to prevent, okay, is for this type of information to get out. And should it get out, the person's discredited with a mental health diagnosis or something else. Do you understand? So please wake up. Please do your homework. Please look into things. Talk to people that have lived experience. Do not allow others to tell you, if you've been diagnosed with a mental illness, do not allow others to tell you that you are mentally ill. That is a victim mentality. That is nonsense, okay? That is not how to move forward in your life and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. That's a way to submit to the old paradigm of control and just dive into a place of, oh, well, I guess because I have, you know, a mental illness, now I'm not going to be able to work, now I'm not going to be able to have a relationship, now I'm going to rely solely on government through SSDI or whatever it is, and I'm not, because I have that's, the doctors, and again, they're mostly well-intentioned, are not teaching people, you know, to thrive, how to, even if they do still believe after listening to this, even if they do still believe that, that people are quote-unquote mentally ill, shouldn't it be advisable to teach them that they're not victims and that they're special and they're awesome, instead of telling them that they're paranoid schizophrenic or telling them that they're bipolar, which we are coming to realize as a society is absolute bullshit. It is nonsense, again, put in place a long, long time ago to disrupt anybody who may have certain knowledge or insight or have abilities to see in to certain situations or certain understandings of how things work. Could be And I don't know if it still is. I'm doing this video, but you know, my videos have been blocked before too. So on my phone before I had to delete them before I even got them onto the computer. So just know that. All right. With that said, I hope this has been very helpful for you. I believe that it is possible for us as a society to come together and a lot of hospitals are recognizing the fact that mental illness is in actuality, for the vast majority of people, I would be willing to bet 90 percentile, 95 percentile or higher is in actuality spiritual awakening, spiritual matters, spiritual connections, other dimensions people are working with and are connected to, and that, you know, let's work with these people. Let's teach them that they're not stupid, they're not mentally ill, they're very special, and have an explanation of what's going on with them in their lives, because it's not doing anybody any good in society to put them in a box, demonize, label them. You know, again, the media does a great job. That person is mentally ill. They did a great job for the police too. Congratulations, media. Yeah, you guys painted a wonderful, wonderful picture of our police officers. You've also painted a wonderful, wonderful picture of quote unquote mentally ill people. You should be very happy with yourselves. We know this was all intentionally done to pin one person, create agendas, create scenarios, pin one group of people, continue up against another, keep the separation going. Divide and conquer was the strategy. With that said, let's end it. Let's talk openly about these types of things. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share. And have an awesome day. Take care. Bye-bye.